hear a lot of background noise. Okay, it's gone now. Okay, so that's fine. Hey guys, and welcome to Diabetic 365. And today we have Wendy. She has been mother for Sugar, and Sugar has been type 1 diabetic from past 6 years, and she also has celiac from past 3 years. And Wendy is going to share all the experiences she had with her daughter, and also how she is supporting her in her day-to-day type 1 diabetes and acting as a live pancreas for her. Hi Wendy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How is Phoenix?
It's better now. It's not as hot.
That's good. So, as I told earlier, Sugar has been 6 years from type 1, right? And also celiac from 3 years. The first question here is, what are your thoughts when Sugar was diagnosed with diabetes 6 years back?
Well, the first thing I have to admit, it was right after her birthday, and we had just had birthday cake and celebration, and the first thing that went through my mind was, will she ever be able to have a birthday cake again? I have a lot of memories as a child baking Christmas cookies with my mom in the kitchen, and she was only 2. These are things I had been looking forward to doing, and in my mind I kept thinking, she'll never be able to go trick-or-treating. We'll never be able to make Christmas cookies. She's never going to have a birthday cake. And I worried that I wouldn't be able to make life normal for her, that I wouldn't be capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm. I know it's kind of a little emotional when I ask these questions, but what was your kind of first week experience when your whole family has to do a complete lifestyle change? So how was it like, the first week or the first 10 or 15 days?
Right. Well, initially it was just, I was pregnant with our second baby. So it was just my husband and me and her. And initially we were in the hospital. I was afraid to come home from the hospital. I felt like I doubted my ability to take care of her. I felt safe in the hospital, so I was a little bit afraid to come home. We did, obviously. We came home on day 5. She was in ICU for a couple of days and on the floor. And in that first week after we got home, I was afraid to leave the house. I felt safe. I had everything I needed. If she was low, I had juice boxes. I had all the snacks perfectly portioned, ready for her. And I didn't want to leave the house. And it was my husband who came alongside me and said, Wendy, this is our life now, and we need to get out. We need to go to the parks and do the things that we would normally be doing. And it was really him who kind of nudged me and supported me through that period. But I would say that first week I felt afraid. I felt like I was going to mess up. I was going to let her down. I wasn't going to pick up on symptoms. She was only 2, and so she couldn't tell me how she was feeling, and I relied a lot on, her moods and watching nonverbal cues to tell me that there was a problem, and I was really insecure, but we've come a long way.
Mm-hmm. And I know 6 years has been long with type 1 diabetes, but how did you teach her to, watch what she is eating, to watch what she is doing, and take care of herself alone? I mean, now she is 7 and she is also going to school.
Right. It's funny because I actually just blogged this a couple days ago. She made a self-care decision last weekend without me there, and she did amazing. She felt low, she treated herself, and I was saying, I don't know how I've taught her. The only thing when I think about this question is that we've just made it our lifestyle, and my husband and I have led by example. You check your blood sugar before you eat. We always look at the carb count. We talk about insulin changes. I make her aware if we're going to be changing something on her pump so she is aware if she starts to feel different that I've made changes and she needs to tell someone. It's really been a family collaborative effort, and I would like to think that I've led by example, but I don't have diabetes, so I just do the best I can, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And one thing, as a family you have to go through is to make some simple lifestyle changes, which are, sometimes difficult for the other. You also have 2 other kids to follow. But so how did you guys as a whole family make this simple lifestyle changes that you said before to take care of her diabetes and also not hurt her feelings?
Sure. Well, her sisters have never known life without diabetes in our home. So they, like I said, I was pregnant with my second, and then along came the third. So it's all they've ever known. In our situation, I feel like that's a blessing because they know if Addie says she feels low to stop and let's check a blood sugar. If she says that something's going on, to come and get me and or their father to get her help. Some simple things that we've done. They're things that ordinary people might not think of. But for example, we put a lock on our pantry because they wanted to open and they wanted to pour themselves bowls of cereal and help themselves to granola bars, and we have had to keep a lock on there, and it's for everyone. We're not just locking it up from our diabetic child, we're locking it up from everyone. No one needs to be eating all day long. We want to, but we have to practice that self-control. I also, when I put juice boxes away for Lowe's, I always take them out of the plastic wrap because I feel like when she's low and I'm in a hurry to get her juice, I hate that plastic wrap. I have to dig through it, and I might be a little bit nervous, and I'm pulling the box out. So I always put juice boxes individually on the shelf. And like I said, that may seem very basic or something no one else would think of, but to us, they're 2 very minor things that have really made life easier for us.
So as you told before that last weekend she was able to manage herself without your help. So here is an interesting thing. Now she is going to school, and how confident or comfortable are you letting her do on her own without you helping or being there?
Well, she was 4 when we first sent her to school. We sent her to preschool in 2007, and I was not confident. I was a nervous wreck. I'm pretty sure that the staff thought that I was crazy. I had her, a toddler, and a newborn, so I might have been slightly crazy. But over time, I've seen, she's in 2nd grade now, so preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade, now we're at 2nd grade, and I've seen that she's okay. And I've gained confidence in her ability to recognize a problem and test her blood sugar and treat it. But not only that, we have a phenomenal school nurse. I have a very good relationship with her. She stays in very close contact with me, and she has really helped me let go a little bit.
That's very good. And this is one part of this diabetes is handling highs and lows. So as a 6 or 7 years old kid, how is she able to handle her highs and lows?
Yeah. She does really, really well. She has an ability to really tell when something is wrong. We only recently began using a CGM, and we don't use it all the time. It's very intermittent. But she can tell me, I feel like I'm in the 60s. Or, Mom, I'm high, not like 200 or 300 high, I'm really, really high. And very, very rarely is she wrong. So I think she's become very in tune with the feelings she has inside. She describes lows as being something in her stomach, a strange feeling in her stomach, and highs. She feels irritable, and she feels very crabby. And she does a really good job at at acknowledging something's wrong and stopping what she's doing to test so that we can fix it.
Exactly.
So I'm really proud of her for being able to do that so well.
That's really good.
Yeah.
You should be really proud of her. So the next question is, how did you fill her with positive attitude and faith towards life while she is, now she is growing up and she will be, in her teens in next 4 or 5 years. What kind of things that you feel with her, in a positive way and to help her?
Well, she is an incredibly kind child. I think her life with diabetes has taught her how to be uniquely compassionate to others and to really reach out to others if they're having a hard day or someone's feeling left out. You can always count on her to come to them and try to include other people. I really try to remind her of her strengths on a daily basis, that people are blessed to have her as a friend because she's such a kind-hearted person. And I tell her regularly how proud I am of the way that she shares with others and her patience with others, and she can take turns easily with others. But the other thing that we make a point of telling her is that when that number comes up, no matter what that number is, she's not a failure. So if it's low, it's low. That's all. It doesn't mean that she let me down or she let anybody else down. And if it's high, well, it's high. We're going to take care of it. She didn't do anything wrong. We're just going to treat it and move on. I think that's really important because her self-worth is completely independent of whatever the glucometer says.
Exactly.
So we try really hard to reinforce that.
Exactly. And also tell us some of the best parenting skills that one needs to nurture a diabetic child.
Well, the very first thing I would say is patience. Your child is going through a learning curve, learning the cues their body's giving them, learning, carb counting and finger pokes. And even if they're very, very young, life is different for them. And you have to be patient. You have to understand that this curve takes different families different amount of times. It took me about 2 years before I really felt confident in managing her, whereas other mothers seem to have their act together at the 6-month mark or before. So never one, be patient. Also, remain compassionate. If your child has a temper tantrum or a meltdown because they think life is unfair, put your arm around them. Allow them to have that moment to accept their feelings, to feel what they feel, and support them to move on and move beyond that. But don't tell them to stuff their emotions away. Don't talk about it. Just be compassionate and understand they're experiencing this with you and they need your support.
Exactly. And here's your final questions. Things you learned the hard way as a diabetic mom.
I would say, and this is a little bit hard to admit, but I'm a registered nurse. I was a nurse for a long time before her diagnosis, and I really did not understand what type 1 diabetes was about. One of the hardest things is the misinformation, the rumors, the lack of education that the general population has, and the judgments that then they assume, well, I must have just fed her soda and candy, and she's not allowed to have, anything with sugar in it. And I would say that's a really big hurdle because I don't want her to feel judged by others. The way that I feel like people tend to judge you when they hear that you have a child with diabetes, they automatically assume that you did something wrong. You caused it. It's all your fault. Look what you've done. So that has been really hard for me to cope with.
Yeah, that's a lot of misinformation that's floating around,
right?
And that should be taken care of as a mother. And Cindy, Wendy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your thoughts to the community. And this really helps other diabetic moms to be brave and to be compassionate, as you said. and help their childs to cope up with their diabetes and their life.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, and you take care and have
Okay.
a nice weekend.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay.